Welcome to the 60 Plus Podcast.
I'm Janet.
And I'm Joe. How are you, Janet?
Good.
I never know what you're going to say when I say, how are you, Janet?
I'm really good.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm doing very well, thank
Oh,
you.
I wasn't even going to correct your grammar this time.
Yes, everything's great. Fine. Perfect.
I don't believe you. It's summer.
Yes.
And it's,
check.
yeah, it's like my favorite time of year, actually.
I know it's really been really nice. We cannot complain about the weather because it's been amazing.
It really has.
I had so much fun just playing outdoors.
How was your 4th of July?
It was really nice. I really had a nice time. I did a lot of fun things and I saw family, I saw friends, I saw fireworks, you know, stuff.
I kind of saw fireworks. They were way off in the distance.
Oh no, these were like right over my head.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Fireworks are fun.
They are fun.
Yes. Did you go ooh and
Yes.
ah?
I
Yeah.
purposefully went ooh, ah.
Okay. What are we talking about today?
A little bit of a review of this podcast information that another podcast, not ours. I came across this idea of blue
You
zones.
like your second favorite podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
This thing called blue zones. Have you heard of it?
I hadn't heard of it until you pointed it out to me. And then when you did point it out, I thought it was like referencing blue-haired people.
Oh, well, that's interesting because that's not the derivation of
I
it.
know.
But let me tell you what it is first. So this gentleman by the name of Dan Bueter has the Blue Zone Project, and he's been doing this research for years and years around the world, trying to identify where people live longer and healthier lives.
Like
And
significantly longer, into their
significantly.
90s and 100s.
Yeah, and hundreds, yeah. So centenarians.
Well, not really hundreds.
Well, 205. They're living into
345
their
years old,
hundreds,
yeah.
is what I said, Joe. So he talks about this power 9 of like the 9 common denominators or lifestyle habits
Okay.
that these people from around the world in these very distinct places, like the longest places where males live the longest is Sardinia, Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yay, Italy.
in females, it's Okinawa, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's these other random places, Greece and also in America, where, these people are living just, significantly longer. And there's some organizing principles around that. And so we wanted to kind of talk about those, kick them around today, and maybe try and break it down to things that we can do as 60 plus population that will add some years to our lives.
Sure. And I think in doing the research for this, and a lot of the research that I came up with was from healthline.com.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was things that we've already talked about.
Yes. And
Isn't that interesting?
Here and there and everywhere, right?
Not purposely because it
Right.
helps you live longer, but just because it's good things to do.
Right.
Make you...
Eating wisely
Yes.
and finding purpose and community and all that good stuff. So we'll go through those. And then just to reference, people may have heard about this. There is a Netflix special, Live to 100. And also there are books out there, on the blue zones and whatnot. So he even has a cookbook. So there's lots of data out there if you want to pursue the details around this. But we'll just kind of review those Power 9 and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I thought instead of going through every single Power 9, every single one of them.
I don't even know what the 9 are. I didn't, my research didn't reveal that. So.
Okay. So it's like, I'll quickly just move naturally, know your purpose, downshift, which means to reduce stress, 80% rule, which is eating until you're 80% full, plant slant, which is 90 to 100% should be whole foods, natural, nuts, beans, plant-based. Friends at 5, which is actually about getting together and having a drink at 5 o'clock. I really like that one.
Do you have to wait till 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Positive pack, which is this sense of community and people around you and the positive people around you, and belong. There's some data that shows, having daily rituals, maybe a faith-based community, et cetera, et cetera. But they really have 4 main areas. And that's, I think, maybe how we want to cover it.
Okay, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
where are we starting?
Well, move naturally.
Move naturally. What I read about was people that, in particular, I think it was the Icaria, Greece,
Mm-hmm.
where people live in a steep hillside and they're
Mm-hmm.
farming, and just their normal life involves moving a
Right.
lot. Not
Yes.
They're not going to the gym.
Right.
They're out bending and climbing stairs and
Right.
climbing up the side of a
Right.
hill.
Not taking the elevator,
Not
taking the
taking the
stairs.
elevator. I don't know. Do they have elevators in Icaria,
No.
Greece?
Well, actually, to take that whole idea a little bit further, if you break it down into some of the information, the research that was done, there's this idea of moving every 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are sitting at our desks, at our computers or what, and we're not getting that constant activity, which keeps your metabolism going. And so the idea is that you're doing things in your life that actually promotes that movement on a more regular basis, and that it's not this like stressful, oh my God, I got to get my 8,000 steps in today, and you're like panicking around that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you naturally are going to walk to, the store, or ride your bicycle, or take the stairs, not the elevator. Like, what can you do to just add movement in your life on a more regular basis?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many flights of stairs will you go up as opposed to taking the elevator?
Oh, at least 100.
Are you frequently in 100-story buildings?
Well, there have been times. Well, I like to hike too, so I like climbing up.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if you're in a building and you got to go up 3 floors, will you take the
Yeah,
elevator?
I would. No, I would probably walk up 3 floors. I do that when I'm going like for an appointment or something.
Mhm.
I don't, especially actually during the pandemic, I didn't want to go in the elevator
Yeah.
and be stuck with people who maybe didn't have a mask on or whatever. So I think I tended to go that route.
If I go to the doctor and there's a flight of stairs, and it's literally one flight of stairs and an elevator, I'll always take the elevator at the doctor's because I don't want to get up there and have him take my pulse and find that my pulse is high.
Huh. Okay. All right. Whatever works for you, Joe.
But
But
normally
you
I'll take
also
the
have an
stairs.
injury, so you might.
I'm better. It's
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
It's
Good.
my leg. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My leg, my arm, my ah. So which also is a
Wait, are you
vote.
saying I was complaining?
Oh no, never. So it is another vote for constantly moving, right? Because if you don't, you're going to get sedentary, you're going to
Right.
get
For
stiff, you're
sure.
going to get
Yep.
muscle atrophy, whatever it is. But it's the level of intensity that we're talking about here. And instead of these short, intense bursts, it's more natural movement. It may be new movement too that also brings you community, like pickleball,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you
Sure.
almost hit both of those aspects of those 9 power denominators.
We heard a podcast with Dan Buettner,
Mm-hmm.
and he even mentioned pickleball. He
did.
he plays pickleball.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are kind of things that you can bring into your life, right? So that you are making it part of your habit to walk as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to drive, when possible type.
Sure.
For instance.
Sure.
Actually, they found that driving at least like number
It
one
adds stress and
it
yeah.
leads to unhappiness.
Yeah. I mean, there are times I like to drive, but I know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I also found it really interesting in this perspective that there was a correlation of the number of people that you wave to every day is correlated with health.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that interesting?
It was I did hear that, and
Yeah.
I found it surprising,
Yeah.
but I guess I get it.
Well, because I guess it implies too that maybe you're not driving, right? Because like people are, although around here in my neighborhood, people are always waving. And I always say it's going to take me an extra 10 minutes to get out of the neighborhood because invariably you're going to stop and chat with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm on my bike, forget about it. It's going to be like hours before I actually pedal out of here. But yeah, so that's a good thing.
In the United States, I saw something that said the physical activity guidelines are 75 minutes of vigorous exercise per week
Mm-hmm.
or 150 minutes of moderate.
Right. Which goes back to that moving more consistently
Sure.
throughout your day.
It's not hard to move for 150 minutes a week.
Well, not for most people, but and again, this doesn't have to be a complete sea change for you. You can start to add some of these behaviors little by little and just, think about it more and be aware of your choices. And are you picking the choices that equal more movement?
All right, can we go on to my favorite topic?
Yes, certainly.
You know what it is.
Eat wisely.
Eating,
Of course, eating and drinking.
eating and drinking. Oh, so the drinking thing.
Yeah.
Dan Buettner
We love
says
Dan. We
we
love you, Dan.
we do. He says
Shout out to Dan.
he's aware of all the studies that say any amount of alcohol is
Bad.
bad, and most, if not all, of these blue zone people drink moderately.
Or have a drink, but socially too, which is hitting that social aspect.
And it's red wine
Yep.
seems to be the best because of the antioxidants
Right.
that are
And also,
present in
this
grapes.
is, I think, attached to that whole Sardinia. That was one of the communities.
hmm
And they're probably drinking wine that's is not heavily pesticized or
Right,
processed.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, 1 to 2 glasses of red wine
A
a
day.
day.
Woohoo!
And now a glass of red wine is about 5 ounces.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not a tumbler. Darn. No.
But this is one of those things where I'm going to choose to like that study more than.
I know, isn't it? It's called selective perception.
hmm
Like, let's pick out the things that work for us.
hmm
And that is one of them. What about the eating part, though, Joe?
Well,
Did you learn some things
I
there?
did, but I still want to talk about the red
I still want to talk about drinking.
wine. There was a study. People that had 1 to 2 5-ounce glasses of red wine every day for 6 months had lower blood pressure, had lower blood sugar,
Mm-hmm.
more good cholesterol, and improved sleep.
Well, you can't argue with that.
Right?
Too bad they say tequila, though. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. Bum, ba, ba, bum. Tequila.
And there's Janet's required.
Jack-
It's in her job description for
Jack-
the 60 Plus podcast. It's
That's right.
Janet
I've been
must sing
contracted
every
to
episode.
sing.
The problem is drinking more.
Well, yes.
Increases a
Of
risk
course,
of death.
there's that tipping point.
There
It's
is,
a
yeah.
very fine line.
So everything in moderation, right?
Yeah, don't be using the big goblins.
So along those lines, the same thinking about everything in moderation is the 80% rule.
Mm-hmm.
Now explain what the 80% rule is.
Oh, you want me to explain?
I do.
You had to explain it to me. Now you're testing me to see if I
No.
remember. So when you are 80% full, you should stop eating.
Yes.
So in other words, never to, oh my God, I can't move. And actually, this is an old Weight Watchers thing. They used to say on a scale of 1 to 5, you never want to be a 5 and you never want to be a 1, where 1 is like, I'm starving to death. 5 is like, oh my God, if I ate another thing, it wouldn't be good. You really want to try to be at a 3 most all day, really.
Well, if you're going to the 80% rule, you'd want to be at a 4. when you
Right.
eat,
Yes. When you eat. Yeah. Yeah.
because that's the math.
Yes. I get I was told. So,
And one of the tricks of that is to eat slowly.
yes, see, there's a thing that I could
Mm,
probably change. I always eat like somebody's going to take it away from me.
yeah, I've seen.
I'm just very passionate about my food. That's all.
So I find when I'm having a meal with someone else, I eat
Yes.
more slowly then because there's
Well, and you're
conversation.
talking.
Yep.
Yeah. You're
Uh,
talking while I'm gobbling it down.
And another trick about this is to refrain from eating at night. So you bulk up on the
You front
calories
load
early in
yeah.
the day.
Well, and that's that old adage, right? Eat like a king for breakfast, a prince for lunch, and a pauper for dinner. Did you
Oh, I
ever
never
hear
heard
that
that. No,
before?
I never
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So that fits with that whole thing.
In the diet, I
Now
mean,
that's where the change comes in.
it's veggies, legumes, whole grains, 95% plant-based, basically.
Yeah.
And I remember John talking about this a few weeks ago.
Right.
When
Lots of beans.
lots of beans, fish. Fish is good.
Right. But you have to consider where you're getting the fish from.
Sure, always,
Yeah.
always with the quality of the ingredients.
Yeah.
And even though people in the blue zones, they're not strict vegetarians, they do restrict red meat.
Yeah, there's
Maybe
not a
to
lot of
maybe
red
like
meat.
5 times a month
Yeah,
is what I read.
yeah, there's not a lot of meat. Well, I also found it very interesting that a lot of it is carbs, but healthy carbs. Sourdough bread.
Yeah.
Did you realize how good sourdough bread is
Well,
as
I've
opposed
realized
to,
it for years.
well, I love sourdough bread actually. But yeah, there's something in the process of making sourdough bread that's better for the glycemic surge.
And something I was a little surprised by, Dan Buettner talks about is, pasta's
I
okay.
know. I was really excited about
I
that because
was.
I
I mean,
haven't been eating pasta very much, and I think
pasta and wine, I
I
mean,
need to add that back to my diet. But again, you want to be careful about what type of pasta, right?
sure.
Because that's based on these Bronze Age cultured communities where there are certain processes in making their own pasta.
I used to eat a lot of pasta. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, 4 or 5 times a week, we would have pasta. Much less than that now, and I've started eating a little bit more pasta than I was maybe a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I buy pasta that literally has 1 ingredient, and it's durum wheat,
Mm-hmm.
and you really notice the difference, and it's not that much more expensive than,
Right.
like, the
I would also
supermarket brands.
suggest maybe organic. I mean, I hate to say it, but again, it's not just the material, if you will, but how it's processed. And
Mhm,
if there's been using a lot of fertilizers and things of that nature, insecticides, whatever, not so good, right?
mhm.
So I think again, what you choose to eat is critical.
Now, when I make pasta, one of the challenges I have is getting the protein that, for instance, that John talked about a few weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago and Megan, a few months ago,
Mm,
the protein that you need, because the protein is what makes you feel full longer.
right. But didn't in that podcast they said something about the pasta having the amino acids or there's something to help the amino acids to absorb, which means you're absorbing the protein more efficiently.
Well, you have to have the protein in the pasta.
Right.
Now,
Beans?
when I was growing up, pasta was always in a red sauce, and it always had red meat in it. Always.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, of
that's just
course.
the way
Yeah.
it was.
Or a
Um,
combination of meats like,
oh yeah. Oh
beef,
no.
pork,
Oh no.
lamb, whatever. Yeah.
Yep. But I've been adding a lot of beans,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good.
I don't know how valid the statistic is, but this guy said something like if you eat a cup of beans a day as opposed to say meat, it can increase your longevity by 30%.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are talking hundreds of years.
Yeah. No, seriously. So, I mean, if you think about what does that mean exactly, if you break that down, they do talk about some of these places like Greece, where on average they live 8 years longer. They have half the rate of cardio problems and very little dementia.
That was something in Ikaria. It
Hmm.
was a population of about 10,000 people. 3 cases of dementia that they could find when they went over and studied it.
Yeah. That's
It's
crazy.
it's less than 1/10 of the rate of
Right.
dementia in the United
Right.
States.
Right. And there's not just diet that's a factor. There's some other things that we're going to talk about. One of them is, this idea of the right outlook, that you have a sense of purpose in your life and that you have these rituals, daily rituals to reduce stress in your life. Because it's not like these people are living in places where they don't have stresses. They do,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It's not la la land. This is again another factor. So we have move naturally, we have eat wisely, and we have the right outlook, which includes that sense of purpose, which directs your activities for the day. Directs how do you get value in achieving that sense of purpose. I think that really is critical.
When I started looking into this, I was like, "Well, how much does genetics play into this?"
Mm,
And I was surprised that, at least according to the research that I did, and I think what Dan Buettner says, genetics only play about 20 to 30% role in longevity.
hmm,
It's all these other things that
right.
really dictate your longevity.
Yeah, your lifestyle behaviors. Yeah.
Recently, we talked about it's never too late to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that you can do when you're in your 60s?
Of course, and that's why we're talking about it, right? Because we do really believe it's never too late to change, and there are some very simple ways that you can break these principles down into specific behaviors as to what you can do. not just the movement, but how you can change your diet, how you can connect more with people. That's another major factor.
Having that
Um,
social network.
yeah, having a social, that's huge. That's
Hmm.
really, really big.
Not an online social network. This is like
No,
in IRL, in
it's
real
about a
life.
community. It's about having your family, your friends, having a positive influences around you and having that ability to be social. I mean, we know that in America, loneliness is actually an epidemic now. It's
Hmm.
considered an epidemic.
Hmm.
In these communities that they're talking about, you because of the nature of those communities, and they meet at the end of the day, they have their glass of wine, whatever, they're walking, they're talking to people. That is a critical factor that is leading to this longevity. So, a really important aspect of the message we have is connect. And I think next week we're going to be talking to the director of our local community
Council on
center.
Aging.
Yeah.
Yep.
And talking about that factor. And so there are ways to promote that in your life. And that's, hopefully going to add years to it.
One of the things that came up in my research on healthline.com was talking about sleep.
Mm.
And it said not too much, not too little.
Mm-hmm.
And even people in some of the blue zones, they don't go to bed at the same time every day.
Hmm.
They get the sleep that their body needs
When they need it.
when they need it.
Right.
A lot of talk of siestas and naps.
Right. Ooh.
Love that, right?
I wish I was a better napper.
Oh,
I'm learning though.
I'm a
I'm
champion.
learning and growing.
If we just stop talking for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, I could be napping.
Oh, okay. Because our conversations are that
No,
scintillating.
it's I'm that good a napper.
Oh, and I'm jealous about that because I am not. I have like an on and off switch.
Again, let your body dictate what you need.
Right. Right. You
Um,
feel tired, go to bed.
right.
Right? Don't keep yourself awake. Oh, I only go to bed at 11. I don't want to go to bed at 9:15. No, go to bed at
If you're tired
9:15.
at 9:15, go to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I find? I used to be much more of a night owl than I am now.
Mm.
I could still do it very easily, but I get a little bored at night. And you know what I do when
You go to sleep.
no, I go eat something.
Oh, well, see,
Go to
there you
bed.
go.
Go to bed.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth, go to bed. And you can't be eating while you're asleep.
That's right. Well, and I find too in the wintertime, I tend to want to go to bed a little bit earlier than the
Well, it gets
summer.
dark.
There's
It gets
still
dark
people
earlier.
are out and about, and
Hmm.
I have serious FOMO. So
Do you?
yeah,
Okay. What are you afraid that you're missing?
I don't know. It could be something.
I don't know what I could be missing, but
I have to find out. Actually, it was interesting because when we were thinking about doing this topic, got an Instagram post and it said keys to a happy life: eat half, walk double, laugh triple, and love with abandonment type of thing.
quintuple.
Yeah. Love. So that kind of falls in line with what we're talking about here. I think it's a great principles to live by for sure.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in learning more about this, I really recommend the article that I read in healthline.com. So go to healthline.com and search for Blue Zones.
Or you can go right to the horse's mouth, and there's a Blue Zone project, and that will give you some of the hard data too, if you're interested in that. So,
Excellent. Excellent.
yep. Or the Netflix
This-
special, Live to 100.
There is a Netflix special. It's a very interesting topic. It doesn't take a lot of effort, really.
It doesn't seem that way. And
No.
what's nice is about all this research that's been done is broken down into some real actionable things that you can do.
Like drink
Wow.
2 glasses of red wine a day.
Yeah, and have a junk food drawer was one of the other ones.
Oh, keep
You
it out
have
of that.
one,
I
don't
do.
you?
Yeah, I do.
That's where your candy is. I know where it is. Have a fruit bowl instead of
I
snacks.
have a fruit bowl as well.
Play pickleball.
Play pickleball and tune into the 60 Plus podcast.
That's right, because we have a community here too.
And we do. So until next week when we talk with Sarah, this has been the 60 Plus podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm Janet. Bye.